Hey guys, we are pleased to say that we are associated with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation charity. And now, a message from one of our supporters.
Hey guys, my name is Baz Black. I first would have heard of Sophie's story through the pages of Kerrang magazine. Being a drummer and a musician, I grew up reading that. I've always felt different and gone against the grain, and obviously being heavily tattooed and pierced, I have faced a lot of discrimination through the years, both verbal and physical. These days I try and turn my negatives into a positive through motivational speaking and make people feel like it's okay to be different, which it is. So I'm in full support of anything you do to bring these issues to light. I was on the Chronicles podcast with the guys speaking about these very things, so they're brilliant guys to get behind it, and I'm in full support of it, so thanks a million.
To learn more about this wonderful charity, head on over to www.sophielancasterfoundation.com.
Hey Jamie, do you like being cozy?
I do.
And do you like staying cozy?
I like that even more.
Then just heading over to www.staycozyclothing.com,
where you can find hoodies, tees, sweaters, and much, much more, with a new fall line out now.
And just enter The Chronicles as one word at checkout to receive 10% off your order.
And make sure you follow them on the Instagram at Stay Cozy Clothing to keep up to date with all the new designs.
Remember, guys, that's The Chronicles as one word at checkout to receive 10% off your order. Joe? Oh, there he is.
Look at that rock star look.
How are we doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, man.
It's like, oh, I'm an interview. I better fucking dress up for this. I love it. Is it a jacket? Is that a jacket? That's a jacket, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dude, that is
a nice jacket.
That is.
Thanks, dude.
The only issue is I like to investigate the background, but you've got no background. It's just black and then a little bit of foliage at the side there. So
a little bit of bunny ears.
Yeah. Joe, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate doing this for us.
Absolutely, dude.
So yeah. Jamie was having a bit of a heart attack. He was like, he's not emailed me back. I don't know if he's coming or not.
So I've been dying on the sofa today. I ran a marathon yesterday, so I've kind of just passed out.
Yeah, when I saw your Instagram post, I thought you'd done that today. So I was like, oh, he's not going to be conscious come 8 o'clock.
No, I got up quite late today and kind of let my legs do what they need to do.
Oh, mate. Yeah, fair play. How did you get on?
It was good, man. I mean, I was about 25. I was aiming for 3:30.
Yeah.
And then I did it in 3:56. But I was like, do you know what? I've done 7 shows like this week. I'm happy. I finished it. That's all that matters.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You're in the 3-hour mark, so you're all right.
Yeah, that's it. Sub 4 hours. We're all good.
Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
You actually did it, to be fair, because you wouldn't catch me dead doing a marathon.
I said the same thing last year, and then I was like, oh, here I am.
So basically, all that really happens here is Jamie's going to introduce you in the most beautiful way possible, and then we are going to absolutely bombard the living fuck out of you with questions, all right?
Love it. Can't wait.
And you can literally say whatever you like as well. There's no limitations here. There's no, all right?
Cool, man.
So, beautiful. Jamie.
Let me get started. Ladies and gents, today we have a very special guest with us, a man who blew me away when I saw him perform several weeks ago. And from what I've seen, the critics agree with me. This man can currently be seen playing Lonny in Rock of Ages. He's a man who is the dictionary definition of charisma and stage presence, as far as I'm concerned, and a man who yesterday ran a bloody marathon. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Chronicles of Joe Gash.
Made me blush with that intro. I wasn't expecting to be. Wow, I'm all flustered. Yeah.
What do I do with myself? I don't. I've forgotten all the English language completely. I can't speak anymore. I told you it was beautiful, man. What can I say?
That was very beautiful. Can you please say that again so I can record it and that's it. That's my income.
So you go backstage, you might be like, fuck up the critics saying, listen to what this guy said on a podcast.
Yeah, literally. Screw them. This is all good.
So, Joe, how have your last 18 months been? Well, 19 now, but still.
With COVID and everything. Terrible, mate, to be completely honest with you. I got back from, when it all happened, I was doing Greece on Royal Caribbean. So that was good fun. And then my contract ended as COVID was starting and I came home. And then I was supposed to be moving to London, and because I'm from up north, I'm from near Scunthorpe, if you know there.
Yeah.
Scunny. And then, so I got back and I was like, Boris says it's 3 weeks, so I'll just hold out on, moving to London and stuff. And it just kept going, didn't it? It just did not stop. And there was absolutely no work at all, So, but things are looking up. So, I mean, obviously they've looked up so much, Rock of Ages and everything else going on. So we're in a good place now. So I try not to complain about it too much because obviously everybody had their own little battles and other things that they had to go through. And I mean, you guys heard it when you came to see the show. Kevin did his speech at the end talking about how crap it's been, and we owe everything to the audience members that are coming to watch it, to come see the shows.
I never understood why they didn't pump money to the theatre and music side of things. They just didn't give a shit, did they really? No,
I mean, I think I got to a point where I just stopped looking at news articles and all the stuff going on social media, because I was like, do you know what? Until something actually changes, there's no point in reading it and getting irate online and little things because it's not going to change until it's going to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
what did you do yourself then if you work? So there's no work. So did you teach yourself or learn anything new at all?
Well, I mean, from where I'm from as well, there was, even when things started to open up a little bit, there was it's such a small town. So all the, even pub jobs and things like that, they were gone. So I did try, a few things. I tried to learn the ukulele. Amazing, but I did that classic thing, where you learn 4 chords and then loads of songs, and you feel like you can walk around and you can just be like, "Hey guys, do you want to hear Don't Stop Believing in C major?" So that's what I did, and then I bought roller skates. Maybe went out on them twice. I spent a lot of money on things to try and entertain myself that would last for about 2 days, and then because I was living with my parents, and then I'd go downstairs and be like, I just want to earn money. I'm so mad. I've got no money. My mum's like, well, stop. You've just ordered a pair of glittery roller skates. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I think that might be my favourite answer we've ever had to that question.
But that's what I was doing. I was just buying loads of, and then I was especially at the start, when Boris was 3 weeks, just kidding, just another month, just kidding. So I was constantly all right, yeah, I feel awful, so I'm going to treat myself, and I just go on ASOS and things like that and Depop and buy loads of clothes, and then they'd just sit, and then that'd make me even more depressed because I'd be sat looking at these clothes being you are never going to see sunlight, you're getting no vitamin on there.
I wish I could wear rollerblades. My feet are so massive. I think I'd have them specially made. I've never been able to find any in size 13. But that'd be great. Just go out rollerblades again. Yeah.
Oh my dude. Yeah, I mean, they would look, if you got size 13 glittery rollerblades, dude, that would be awesome.
They'd get in there about 5 minutes before I did. Just be Tom's coming around. So there's just the tips on my feet coming around. Then it's just me. Hey guys! Fucking hell.
So take us all the way back, sir. What were the original career plans for young Master Gash? Was it always theatre acting or something else completely?
We can just stop at Master Gash. I like that. They were the plans. Hey, you said this podcast is anything goes.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
I really didn't think that through when I wrote it down.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I think. Well, to be fair, when I was about 8, I really fancied this girl in. I want to say school, but I'm even in school at that point. Where am I? In primary school still?
Yeah.
Where am I at that point? And then she was doing a production of High School Musical at this Amdram thing. So that's what got me into drama. That's the fact that I fancied the pants off this little blonde girl. And then it kind of stayed from there, but it was just like a Saturday drama thing. I joined up for different drama classes as I got older. But I did go through a stage when I was 16, the GCSE era, where I was really into rugby and running and things like that. And I was a bit I haven't really, because my mum was what are you going to do? Because if you're going to audition for drama school, it needs to happen soon. And I was just a hormonal little shit who was no, Mom, don't. You know what I mean? So she never pushed me, but she guided me in the right direction to be you need to get your head screwed on. So I think it was always there in the back of my mind, but I just think, it just took me in. But so I ended up going to drama school. So it was, I never really had a plan, and I just kind of fell into it and was oh yeah, I'll do this then. This would be cool. Because also, I don't have a clue what else I'd do. I say that, I'm I could have been a scientist, but instead I decided to wear tights. That's not the case at all.
So was Rockstar never a dream? Because you scream 80s brand band frontman to me. Not even just from seeing you in Rock of Ages, just following you on Instagram, just you in general.
Yeah. No, I mean, so when I graduated, I went to a musical theatre college. I went to Expressions Performing Arts, which is in Mansfield, just outside of Nottingham. And back then, I was short hair. I liked the clean look back then. I had short back and sides, and then slicked back hair. I used to love wearing suits, looking really, really sharp all the time. And I listened to a lot, went through a stage where obviously it's always been musical theatre, but it went through a stage where it was jazz. I mean, I look back on that and I'm how did that happen? Me just sat listening to Frank Sinatra, just this is the shit. Obviously he is a legend and I do jazz in their own rights, but how I am now, I'm just thinking of me at college just being live meet. And it just doesn't sit right, does it? Now you're looking at me oh, that's weird. No, and then I graduated and went on a cruise ship. I did a P&O Australia, and they had a rock show on there. And I'd never really delved into that kind of, I mean, I was 18 when I went there. Never really delved into it, but I'd always been a fan of Queen and stuff like that. And then it just kind of, I know, and then I had to obviously sing in that, and I sang AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and stuff. And I was oh, this kind of suits well. And then I started to research it, and I was oh, 80s glam was amazing. Look at the stuff they're wearing. And then it kind of evolved from there. So no, I was never really into it when I was a kid. But then I was always a fan of people who did I mean, as it, the punk rock bands, and then even people like Pink in the pop world and stuff like that. So I think the music genre has always been there before I actually went and listened to your Led Zeppelin, Queen, Elton John, Prince, all that kind of glammy.
So the punk bands that's on Pink, everything, were they inspirational? The people that you were inspired to be oh, I'm going to go down this road, or you say, was it just the fact that you fancied this girl?
I'd like to say that it was inspirational, but it was a fact to fancy the girl. I think I've always been quite. I mean, I've never been your lad that's gonna play football or anything like that. Anyway, okay. So I think I was very open to the fact that she was like, you should come do this show, blah, 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 blah. And I was just so open for it. I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. So I think it wasn't a thing of me being like, I'm only doing this because I'm fancy you. It was just, I was like, oh yeah, do you know what? Acting might be fun. So yeah, I won't pin it on like, I just thought she had a pretty face, so I followed that direction.
I was going to say, we could thank her right now if you really wanted to.
I know, yeah. I owe my whole career to you.
So when you first started, like with your performance, because like I said, so much charisma and whatnot, did it come natural to you when you started doing it, or did you really have to train yourself to get to where you are now?
Like right at the start?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think as a performer, you can always look back and be like, I mean, I'm sure I'll look back on videos of Lonny and stuff like that and be like, oh God, I could have done that so much better. Like in like a year or two's time, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So I do always find myself, but then I think you're always at that point where you're like, oh, I feel like I'm at my peak. Like I'm doing this the best that I can right now. And then, yeah, so I think at a younger age, it was because I've gone, like I said, I went through a lot of stages of like listening to different music and like dressing differently and stuff. I've like gone through like these waves and things of like finding myself, which has definitely helped to like get to where I am now, especially with the way like with Lonny, like the way that's developed. If I hadn't been through things I've done in my life to like, make me what I am now, it definitely wouldn't have happened the way it did, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I read that you were stealing your girlfriend's leather trousers. Care to elaborate?
You know what? I actually forgot that I wrote that to put in the program, and then like I read it and I was like, I didn't write that. I was doing it like I wouldn't write something like that, and then I called my girlfriend and I was like, did I write that? She was like, yeah, and I was like, yeah, you're right, probably did. I was like, no, it is a bit like, no, I own a lot. I mean, if you've seen my Instagram, like you said, I own a lot of, I like me 80s glam look, but that came from, I think the reason I wrote that was because in the audition, because Lonny was very last minute, I originally went in for ensemble for one of the dancers.
Okay.
And then I got through that, and then they called me back for second cover Stacey and Stacey Jacks, who Kevin Clifton plays, and second cover Lonny. So I was like, wasn't really expecting that to happen. So I was like frantically, and I didn't have like my 80, my normal clothes with me. And I was like, this is the audition where I can actually go dressed as Joe Gash, like I don't have to like dull down my clothes or anything. And I just went into a wardrobe and like whipped out and I mean, like my girlfriend is tiny as well. Like she's like so small and so skinny. And I just like ripped out these leather pants and like didn't even try them on and took them to the audition, and then did the recall for the dance audition, and then went to go sing, and I was just like pulling them on. I was like, oh my God. And this is for like my final audition as well. And then the director, Nick Quinston, was like, oh, do you always dress like that? And I was like, yeah. Like, so everything was on show. And I like stole my girlfriend's brother's like big fur coat as well. And like, because I just didn't really have any of my own clothes with me. So I was just stealing all these things. And I honestly, like, I don't know if it helped me. I think it did help me, but I must have walked in. They must have gone, what a dick. Like,
what a dick. Let's give him like the main role in the show.
Yeah. Well, the RMD, Liam Holmes, he was the pianist for like all the, for the singing auditions. And he told me that when they walked out the room, they were like, because, they were like, do you usually dress like this? And I was like, no, yeah, I do. And then they walked out and they were like, should we check his Instagram then? And they like went through my Instagram. Can you imagine if it was just like, it was just me and just like a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, like, hi. They were like, he's a liar. He just wants a job.
Go back to jazz days.
Yeah, I was going to say, why is he wearing a suit listening to Frank Sinatra?
Yeah. Just videos of me in my bedroom, like singing "Fly Me to the Moon."
So when you finished training at the performance college, can you remember your first role that you did?
Yeah, it was going on that cruise ship that got me
straight onto that cruise ship.
Yeah, I auditioned for it in the April, and then left college in June, and then got on in September. And it was like it was a production ship, so it was like five different shows that were all, you know, I wasn't like, it's not like it wasn't a musical or anything like that, but it was the best job I could have done for me to like as a new graduate and stuff. Like I'm so glad I did that rather than trying to go like straight for musical theatre and things like that, because I'd like learned so much about myself on that contract, and like my voice changed and like, you know, and all them things as well. So that was the first role I played was when I did Kinnicky in Greece.
Did the leather trousers help you with your pitch?
They're doing this. I could see that. I could see you were like, I need to ask this question right now.
I do. I want to ask, but you'd already moved on. I was like, shit, I missed my chance. Like, I'm still going back to it. I'm going back to stuff.
Edit it. We'll just slot that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like you've been waiting. We'll just slot that back. Yeah, I just wear really, really tight pants all the time. Underneath my Lonny trousers, I actually have like 3 pairs of leather pants, and they're just like sculpting up. My balls are in my stomach when I sing.
It's set to a timer. So when you're the high parts, it like clenches slightly. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody just says just like pressing a button.
To be fair, the pitches you hit, especially right at the start of the show, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, you know, vocal technique and blah blah. And I'm like, no, actually, somebody's just got a button that like balls, and off I go. I'm right up there.
I had a really weird image. So they say you work on a cruise ship, yeah, and you're performing. What happens if it's really bad tide and it starts doing this? So
honestly, when I was on Piano Australia, it was still it was the biggest ship in their fleet. It was still quite a big ship, but God, there was a day when we had something like 14-meter swells, I think it was, like ridiculous waves, and like I don't get seasick, and I didn't feel seasick then, but it was like you couldn't sleep on it, so I was like, you know, awake with like half an hour's sleep, just like in the ship, like it's not good. And then if you have to do, we never would perform a show in that kind of thing, but you'd perform shows in like 4 or 5 meter swells and like trying to do, you know, pirouettes and stuff like that, and falling out of it and trying to look gracious, and you're like, oh.
This piano players just like start sliding away, yeah.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
You just said about playing Kinnicky in Greece.
Yeah,
it must have been absolutely awesome. I saw you also an understudy for Danny Zuko in Greece at the same time.
Yeah, I understudied Danny Zuko. I actually went on for him for about 3 weeks altogether, because our Danny had to go home for some like family issues. So I went on for him for quite a bit. But I loved Kinnicky. Like, I loved Kinnicky so much. I had so much preferred playing Kinnicky over Danny, especially because Kinnicky gets to sing Grease Lightning. And
that is true. Yeah, that is true.
It was, and especially like compared to like someone like Lonny, Kinnicky's so like, he's just like such a like coiled spring, isn't he? Like, you don't know whether he's gonna laugh or he's gonna stab you in the throat. Like, it was such a fun part to play, and it was like, yeah. But the thing was with that is like, you could always tell if I'd broken character because I'd smile. Like, Kinnicky just doesn't smile really, so it would always be a case of like, somebody'd know if they catch me out, because they get a little smirk, and then once you get me going like on stage, I'm out. I'm completely gone. Like, at least with Lonny, if I break character, they'll be like, I can't tell, and I'll be like, acting. But it's just me actually wetting myself on stage, whereas with Kinnicky that couldn't happen. But he was a great part, and I really, really enjoyed that show.
So I've always wondered with understudies, is it basically there for like a just in case situation? So like you were saying, then Danny had to go home. There you are. You've got that.
Yeah. So it's literally for, you know, I mean, that Danny could have. There was one show where we had a matinee, and then I got a call from the company manager, and it was like, Danny's feeling really, really sick. You know, he can't go on today. So it was just a case of, okay, I'm on. So it's just basically so the show doesn't have to close if you don't have understudies. It's the same with, like, in Rock of Ages, we've got swings. So if I went out, my understudy would go on, and then a swing would come on, who is they stay backstage. They don't come on stage at all. Like, they're not in the show. So if I went out and then my understudy went on, then the swing would go into my understudy's part. So it's just like a seamless change. Like, you know, like to an audience member, it's like nothing happened.
I was going to say, the understudies have understudies, and then they have understudies that have understudies.
Yeah, it just keeps going. There's no end. There's just a huge line outside of the stage door. It's like with swings and understudies.
We've got no one left. We've got to get Paul on the street. You there?
Literally, somebody run to M&S and get the dude with the longest hair. He'll be fine.
Can you sing? No, that's fine. We don't worry about that. Kind of on stage.
Yeah.
It must be a nightmare in a way being an understudy, because you've got to remember all your actual lines, but then you've also got to remember the other person's lines just in case.
Yeah, I think it's such an underrated, being an understudy in a swing, especially a swing, because like, I've got friends in West End and tours and things like that who cover like 9 roles. You know, it'll be like it could go on for like you're covering 4 ensemble tracks, so that's 4 different variations of choreography and different stage tracks, and then they could be covering 3 roles, you know, like speaking and singing roles. And I just think I couldn't think of anything worse. Like, my brain would be on. I'd take my hat off to them people who do it. My brain would be on fire. Like, doing understudying Danny was bad enough for me. Like, and I was on stage with him, so I knew his lines. But then when I had to go on, I was like, oh God, I think I'm having a heart attack.
Especially because, like, if you're understudying the main character, you've got to remember more lines than your actual character, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with Danny, he's on quite a lot. Kaniki, I think, to be fair, in the show in general, Kaniki doesn't say a lot. Like, I think I had a collection of maybe something like 30 lines. Like, not a lot at all. So I had no excuse not to know my understudy stuff.
So before we move on to Rock of Ages, obviously acting in a theatre and film acting are 2 completely different kettles of fish. Yeah. You've got to remember your script, song lyrics, dance moves, cues to go on, etc. Do you guys have like procedures in place in case you forget things?
Like during the show?
Yeah, like during the show.
A big old spanked bottom. I mean, not really. I mean, if you forget, it's down to the actors on stage to be like, we've got to cover this shit while a call goes out being like, Joe Gash to stage, Joe Gash to stage. I guess it's your responsibility, isn't it? I mean, in a case of like, if somebody fell ill or hurt their ankle or something halfway through the show, then there would be like a show stop and there'd be an announcement to say, our swing's called Morgan Scott. So it'd say Morgan Scott will be going on to blah, blah, blah. And so that there'd be like characters would go off and then the whole understudy thing would be implemented then. But I think if you just genuinely forgot, you're just being a lot of shit. I don't want to do it. I haven't forgot yet and I don't want to experience it. So I'm not going to find that out for you.
Just say, do us a favour, Joe, tomorrow's show, can you just forget all the words?
Yeah.
See what happens, just for us.
I was going to say, but there are any moments where someone's forgotten or someone's just like actually got injured, or just any hilarious moments really that you weren't expecting whilst performing?
We haven't had any. I mean, we've had people go off like illnesses and stuff, but we've had no injuries during the show. Yeah, I mean, there's always, especially with Rock of Ages, I mean, it's just a call for things to fuck up, isn't it? Like, you want it to happen. There's I mean, me and Dennis, Ross Dawes, who plays Dennis, who's the bar owner. Me and him are always trying to catch each other out, like always trying to put each other off. Only because we've got like such a great relationship, but he's so good at it. He's so good at putting me.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
It's like probably for the audience as well. Is sometimes you don't know if there's a fuck up or it's a purposely placed fuck up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep it that way.
Yes, that's my best thing to
I'm
do.
not going to tell you which is which.
So one of my personal favourite things in theatre is when you guys get the audience involved. Like in Rock of Ages, there's always that person in the front row who's referenced for the entire show, and it was hilarious. So have you ever had someone that just like refuses to play along?
I've had it where the woman doesn't want to say her name, and I will just turn to her husband and be like, okay, well, you've got to tell me her fucking name or else this show can't continue.
That's good. I like that.
But there was one where it was the last show we did on Manchester on Saturday night, and so obviously the show finishes with Here I Go Again. The Act 1 finale finishes with Here I Go Again, and then obviously then Lonny has his little quip about being like, the show's over, blah blah, and then there's a little audience interaction, and they'd gone. The husband and the wife that I were picking on had gone, but not left the theatre. They'd left during the number to obviously be like, we're going to get to the bar before like everybody.
Yeah.
And and then I was like, I think her name was Sharon, and I was like, Sharon, and everyone in the front row were like, she's gone, and I was like, fucking bitch. And I was like, I've got a joke. I can't finish until this joke is said. And then I was like, do you know what? Fuck her. And then I like climbed into the audience and I was like, what's your name, sweetie? And then I just picked on a new woman throughout the whole thing. And every time at the start of Act 2, I came on, I was like, well, look who's back, you bitch. They loved it though. It worked in my favour.
That's amazing. So typically, how long of a time span is it between you getting a script and then opening night? So like with rehearsals and whatnot.
I think it depends on the show. It depends on a lot of things, like the show, the producers, the director. Like when I did Grease, we didn't get the script until the day we started rehearsals. So
what?
Yeah, so I think like some because that was for Royal Caribbean, so I think I don't know. I think it's just the way they do it. I think maybe some directors are like, we'd rather not let anybody have like a preconceived thing in their head. Like we'll work together throughout the whole process to create a character in this thing. But with Rock of Ages, I got it sent to me about a month before the script, which I was glad about because obviously Lonny is so dialogue based, and I wanted to make sure I knew my lines as best as possible and not like do anything with it myself, but just know the lines. So when it came to the blocking and all the props and everything else that I had to do, I was like, right, I don't have to be carrying the script around with me and like then going home and being like, okay, I need to learn this scene and this scene and this scene. So yeah, I think it depends on like all the variables like with it, but with Rock of Ages, we got it a good month in advance of the rehearsals. And then obviously we had 3 weeks rehearsals to opening night. So I had about 2 months to prepare with the dialogue.
I was going to say, how the fuck do you remember all of that?
I don't know. I've got a week off right now. And I think next Tuesday when we have a first show, I'll probably just be like, I'll come out and I'll be like, hey.
It's Grease Lightning.
Literally. What's going down next week? Why this character be up? No, wrong show. Sorry.
Like Tom just said, that I don't know how you guys remember all them lines. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a case of you figure out your own method, don't you? Like I've been learning lines since I was like 8 years old, since I was a kid. So I think now when people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's just like, I just read them and kind of like it just happens now because it's your job, isn't it? It's like,
yeah,
you know, my best friend's a mechanic, and then I don't even want to go into that description, being like, how do you do this? And then him try and say big, strong man words to me, and me be like, oh no.
Is there any are there any roles that you've really wanted that you know are still striving for or haven't got, etc.? So I don't know if you, because obviously Disney do a lot of theatre role stuff, don't they? So is there anything you've really wanted to do that you've not got yet, or anything you'd like to do?
Yeah, I've always wanted to play Galileo and Me Will Rock You. That is like my dream role. I think it's more for because I'm just such a huge Queen fan. Like, I love the music of Queen, so I'd love to just be in that show so I could sing, you know, Queen 7 times, 8 times a week. And then I've been in. I was in finals for Bat Out of Hell a few years ago, and that's another one that I'd love to do at some point. Yeah, I'm not sure. What I do you know what I am a sucker for jukebox musicals, like an absolute sucker for them. But I think it's because I love music so much as well. So when there's like good musicals made out of like good music, because I don't know if you've heard of Our House as well.
No,
it's the Madness musical, and it's like it's such a cleverly written musical around madness music. Yeah, it's fantastic. I'd love to be in that. In anything, to be honest, you know, Wicked and like Disney stuff as well. I'd love to take a crack at anything. Like I don't want to put myself in a bracket of like, oh, I'm just like a rock and roll musical theatre artist. Yeah. I've always wanted to be in like Book of Mormon. I think that's a fantastic musical. But obviously there's going to have to come to a point where I have to cut my hair for roles like that. And I'm not quite ready yet. So we'll see about that in the future. But yeah, things like that I'd love to, but then it comes down to your appearance as well, doesn't it?
That was going to be my next question. I was going to be like, hey, would you go to that far as to have to just cut your hair or shave or anything like that?
I think so. I think right now I've got like, because this look is like fairly new. It's only about, like 2 or 3 years. So I think for the time being, it's kind of like what people know me as at the moment. So I think I'll kind of stick in this genre for a couple of years. And then, once if I went in for something like Book of Mormon or something like that, and they were like, we need you to cut your hair, I'll be like, 7,000 quid a minute, and I'll
just join the club, Joe. It's okay. Don't worry.
No, but you suit it. I feel like I'd like a wet potato.
I feel a little bit like a toe.
No, no. Maybe if you shaved your beard.
Yeah, just be one big toe, just a big ginger toe. Also, with getting roles and stuff like that, like, do you get approached, or do you have to audition? Do you find them online? Like, how do you apply for like musical theatre roles?
I've got an agent, so
makes sense.
Yeah, so we have there's a website called Spotlight for like actors and everything that goes on that, and basically all the cast and directors put their breakdowns of like auditions that are coming out onto there, and then your agent will submit you for that.
Okay.
Director will look through people's, so you have like a profile, which will have like your CV and your headshots and things like that, and then they will pick who they think looks right for the role, and then obviously they'll pick a couple of hundred or whatever they will do at that point, and then you start going in for auditions, and then obviously recalls, finals, blah 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 blah.
So it's a bit like a better version of X Factor.
That's the one.
Going in for auditions, yeah. Just like the judges, the director, the producer, whatever else, rather than overpaid celebrities.
Yeah.
I was wondering how you were going to describe the guests.
Then tell you shit that they get paid millions just to be like, well, you're fucking wank. It's like, well, actually, I don't think they get it wrong a lot of times, I think, but that's just my opinion. So that's just there, just to say shit, just get paid loads of money. Like, oh, I'm going to embarrass this prick for no reason. Like, oh, get out, get in the bin.
Happens, isn't it? It's TV.
I hate it.
So with Rock of Ages, this must have been like the perfect show for you from what we've learned about you so far.
Yeah.
So, when your agent called you, like, put you forward to the Rock of Ages, how would that go down? Was that just like, fuck yeah?
Yeah. Well, it was very, like I said, it was a very last minute audition. And then I was obviously in for ensemble at the start, and I've always loved Rock of Ages. But I think I'd never even thought about Lonny like as a role. I don't know why. Because now I'm doing it, I can't imagine myself as. I mean, my agent's asked me, before. She's been like, if it came around, would you want to be put forward for Drew, who's obviously played by Luke Walsh, who just has vocal cords of steel. Like, honestly,
great voice.
Dude, honestly, amazing voice. And I could probably do a show or two of Drew and then be like, this is too much. It's like he just doesn't stop, does he? Like. The only person I thought about playing if I ever did this show was Stacey Jacks. Yeah, but when I got the call especially when I got a recall for second cover Stacey and second cover Lonny, I was like, oh, amazing. Yeah, doing them two would be amazing. And then I went and did my audition, and I literally just did the Lonny stuff, and they didn't see any of my Stacey stuff. And then, 2 days later, my agent called me. And she was like, oh, you've got an offer for Rock of Ages. Obviously, in my mind, I thought I'm ensemble, second cover Lonny. And they were like, would like to offer you the role of Lonny. And I just went, fuck off. I was like, how has that happened? How has that happened? But I was just so shocked. But I was also like, oh, my God, because I've always wanted to do this show. Like, it definitely is like a dream show of mine that I've always wanted to do. Just because of the music as well. Like, the music is fantastic, isn't it?
It really is. So, did you feel any pressure at all, though, with this role? Because not only are you the focal point of the show as the narrator, but coming out of the film, which I know there is a lot of judgment on, everyone loves that character.
Yeah.
Russell Brand was fantastic as that character. He absolutely nailed it. Was that pressure there, or were you just like, nope, it's day one. This is the job. Let's go.
I think not so much from the film, but from the 2019 tour. There's an absolute musical theatre legend called Lucas Rush who played the role, who was like absolutely adored by everybody. And I've never met Lucas, but I've known of him for years because of like different things that he's done. And when I was at college, he was working and stuff like American Idiot and Jesus Christ Superstar and stuff. So that was a lot of pressure because I was like, oh my God, I've respected this man for years. And like, I'm taking over his role. And a lot of people were quite upset about that. That Lucas wasn't coming back. But he was lovely. Like, there was a lot of comments online, but he was lovely and said, and we hadn't even spoken by this point. We speak now online. We haven't met, but I know he's coming to watch the show in Hayes. So I'm really excited to meet him. But he, some people have put something online. He'd be like, no, Joe's going to be fantastic, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, oh, we haven't even spoke yet, dude. Like, that's so awesome. Nice. So that was the point where that was the pressure point, if anything. But when it came to, like being the narrator and stuff, I think in my head then I was more like, it's your job. Like, that's the way I was trying to think of that. I was like, it's your job. So try not to think too much into that until you get to rehearsals. And then I just stopped looking at like when the cast got, because when the cast got revealed and then people were not happy that Lucas wasn't there. I just stopped looking at that because I was like, they haven't even seen me perform yet, like
keyboard warrior.
So I'm just going to wait and, see what the response is like when I actually get out on stage, rather than people telling me that I'm going to be awful already. When I'm just sat in my bedroom like, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Deborah. That's really nice. Fuck you, Sharon.
Keyboard warriors. There's so many around.
Yeah.
There's so many. They love to jump on board and be like, I've not seen anything yet, but fuck it.
Yeah. And I think the fans of this show as well, they're like some of the most diehard fans I've seen for a musical theatre show, which is amazing as well. Like once you're a part of it. But I was very like overwhelmed with like, even now, like I get, so many followers and messages and things, and it's very overwhelming, like how much people love this show. Like, it's unbelievable, actually.
Like I said, those people are eating their words now, because like all the things I see you share on Instagram are people's reviews. Every one of them saying like Joe Gash is incredible in this role. Yeah. And like when I was leaving the theatre, like everyone was laughing, loving, having a great time. They can all piss off.
As long as people smile, that's all that matters, isn't it?
Literally, Jamie rang me the day after he saw you in Birmingham and was like, "Oh my God, the character played Lonny. We need him for our show. He was fucking hilarious. His voice was amazing. Like, he just raved about you for about 5 minutes." I was like, "Cool. Who is he?" I was like, I've never been to a musical theatre show in my life. I mean, that's all changing soon, but are you coming anywhere near Wales at all? Or have you been here?
Yes, we're going to... Oh my God, I'm not going to try and pronounce it. It's
not L. It's what?
Lulu-Andu? Oh my God, how do you say it?
Llandudno.
Wait, no. I'm gonna get it up and then show you my phone.
Is it double Landuno?
Yes.
Llandudno, yeah.
Me, Lulu-Andu. Lily.
I'm not Welsh. I'm Scottish, but still, I live in Cardiff. So
you there? Is it? And I was like, no, that's not how you say it. Like, I have any idea whatsoever. Mrs. like, okay, right. Listen, Tom, sit down. This is Lulu-Andu.
I wait till my girlfriend hears it, she'd be like, "Fucking hell," because she's Welsh. She's like, "I can pronounce that properly." Yeah. I think we went past so it's called like Pencoed or something, or Pencoed. I was like, "Oh, Pencoed. I know Pencoed." And she's like, "It's Pencoed actually. I could not get it right." Oh, sorry, fucking hell.
Yeah, when I was like in between jobs, I was doing a Jersey Boys tribute, and I went to Wales for the first time, and I was like, "Whoa." I was like, these are some letters.
Yeah.
I've never like delved into the Welsh language at all. And I was like, wow, I take my hat off to you people.
One of my favourite comedians said it's like somebody fell over carrying a box of Scrabble.
Brilliant. That's what I mean, like that. Llandudno.
Yeah, it's double L, it's cla. I don't know why.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Llandudno. It's that stuff in the north, though. I'm surprised you're not coming to Cardiff, man.
Well, we're there in February at Lulu-Andu. We are coming to Cardiff and Edinburgh next May.
I'll come see you in May.
There you go.
Yeah,
banging. Dude. So anyway, we've gone massively off topic, so sorry.
So just out of interest, like, as we were talking about it, there is a few digs in the show at the film. What did you think of the film?
I when I was younger, when did it come out? Like 2012, 2014?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. A while ago now. I quite enjoyed it, but I'd never seen the stage production. So what I thought, because they're two completely different things, aren't they? Like,
they are, yeah.
The story's different. But I'm also a huge fan of Julianne Hough, so I was like, yeah, film. So back then, I thought it was really good, but then I watched the stage production and was like, oh shit, it's actually a pretty shit version. I loved Tom Cruise. I really like his interpretation of Stacey Jacks.
I do, to be fair.
Like, because I think the thing is with Stacey, you can either play him like a washed up rocker who's a bit of a loser, or you can play him as like a young rock star who's in his prime, but he's like too big for himself. Or you can play it, and both of them are like in the stage production. If you play it like that, he's still an idiot. Whereas in the film, Tom Cruise just made him like what you'd expect 80s rock stars to be like. He was just like a sex god, and like everything revolved around him, and like he was like so like mysterious, and so I thought his performance and his vocals were amazing.
Which is shocking.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming. It's almost like Stacey Jacks played Tom Cruise.
Yeah, literally. He totally transformed himself, and like, you know, and I think you could tell he really researched like all his stage presence and things like that. So I think when I look back on the film, because I watched the film again just before I started rehearsals, just to be like, see if anything happens. And I think if it wasn't for him, it'd be a bit of a waste of a film. I mean, the vocals from most people in the film are great, I think, but I think it's just because the script's so different. So once you know how good the stage show is, it's like, it's kind of left over a bit, isn't it, from the movie?
Yeah, it is. It is. The end. It's all quite different. The whole main plot of breaking down the sunset. It's all completely different, isn't it?
Completely different, and like Sherry never actually sleeps with Stacey, so the whole Drew transformation is kind of pointless.
Yeah,
because he just thinks she has, and then all he had to do was go, "Did you sleep with Stacey?" She would have gone, "No," and then he would have gone, "Okay," and then that would have been the end of the film. Like, that's the whole point of it. The whole reason it happens in the stage show is because he sees her walk out the bathroom, pulling a bra on or whatever she does. So he's like, "Well, fuck this bitch. I'm gonna do my own thing." But in the film, he could have just been like, "Excuse me, Sherry, did you tap that?" No? Cool. End of film. Would have been half an hour long.
Before we wrap up, I did want to mention Rocket Rhapsody.
Yeah.
A show celebrating Queen and Elton John.
Mm-hmm.
Why those two together?
Well, basically, when I was doing Greece on Royal Caribbean, I had quite a bit of spare time, during the day. Sometimes if we had like a sea day and I didn't have a show till 7, 8 o'clock at night. So I wanted to like create my own show. And then I've always been a fan of Queen and Elton John. And then obviously Bohemian Rhapsody came out like a year before I went on, and then Rocket Man came out when I was in Miami, rehearsing. And I thought Rocket Man was amazing. Like, I thought it was unbelievable, like one of the best films I've ever seen. And then I thought about it then, I was like, do you know what? Their music could kind of work together if you did like the medleys right. And, they're two, like Freddie and Elton are two completely different but iconic frontmen. Like when you think of frontmen, I mean, straight away you think Freddie Mercury, like that's the frontman. But then Elton John's a frontman in his own right, with like the costumes he used to wear and things like that. And I was like, I feel like I could just like implement it and just kind of like smush it all together, and I feel like it would work some way. So that's where that all came from.
So will you do this show again? Would you do another run of it? Yeah.
I wrote it on the ship and then performed it a couple of times to the Americans on the ship, and it went down really, really well. And then I haven't really had a chance to perform it. So I've performed it at some parties and birthday parties and stuff like that during COVID. And then I performed it on my street, just with backing tracks, because I didn't have obviously didn't have a band. It was during when the first lockdown happened, and I did it to raise money for NHS. So I just
that's amazing.
On the street, and then all the neighbours came out, and then I did like a live stream on Facebook and Instagram, when people were doing all that stuff back then. But I haven't had a chance to perform it since then. But it is one of my aims after Rock of Ages finishes. I'd love to get a band together and like actually take it on tour. Put it in theaters and stuff, because it's just like a really good feel good show. Like it's not me pretend like being Freddie Mercury and Elton John. It's just me singing their songs, but it's kind of like Lonny in an aspect of like there's so much audience participation, and it's very and everybody loves that music, and it I mean, when I performed it on the cruise ship, it went down so well, and people were just, I could have literally just let the band play and me sit back, to be fair. I didn't really have to do much after 10 minutes. They were all loving it.
That's amazing.
Never go wrong with a bit of Elton, can you? Never go wrong with a bit of Elton, just smashing out. It's one of those people you like, Elton John is banging. Secretly every single person loves Elton John.
You
just know, they won't admit it. They're like, then you can see him in the house going, Saturday. So, other than theatre shows, Joe, what do you like to do in your spare time? When you get time off, what do you like to do with yourself then?
So,
Come on, Joe. Come on.
I've always been a very active person.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's the reason. So I ran a marathon yesterday, and the only reason I ended up doing that was because obviously the gyms were like opening and closing and opening and closing. Yeah. I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna run a marathon. So I've got a reason. I was like, screw it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sign up, because then it's like, right, in the morning I can still have a regime. I can get up and go for a run, because I just couldn't be bothered with the whole, and like the home workout thing was just like not a thing.
Yeah.
Like that sucked. And then I like read a lot. I like to write. I like to party.
Of course.
Yeah, I like to keep myself busy doing whatever it may be. Food. I like to eat a lot, which is why I'm like, oh God, when I stop running, that weight is gonna pile itself. I got back yesterday and I like put the running shoes down, and then I was like, never gonna use them again. And I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna get so fat. Get so fat because I've been eating so much more this year, because I'm like, oh, I can, because I went for like a 12-mile run this morning. I had as many carbs as I want.
It's amazing.
I'll probably still be saying that to myself, and then I'll get like the costume people coming up to me and being like, Joe, you do know you have your body out on stage, and that is some dad bod happening right there. You need to pull that back.
It's where you're standing at the side, but you're still on stage at the same time.
Yeah, then there's me being like, we're going back to a sexier time. People are like, no, we're not.
Just remind me of Homer Simpson with the trunks. So he puts the trunks on the beach, they can get sucked into his ass, and he puts the loads on.
Oh, so what's coming up for you? Have you got any plans after Rock of Ages, or is it just Rock of Ages for now?
Not so much at the moment. I think because the tour is going on at the moment until the end of 2022. So I in my mind at the moment, I think I'm going to do the whole thing. Think so. I mean, I may change, come, because my original contract ends in June. And then I've got the choice to extend afterwards. So I don't know. I think it kind of depends on what comes up in the new year, I think.
Okay.
See what happens. But with it, as in theatre-wise, like it's just Rock of Ages at the moment.
I didn't realise you could do that. I didn't realise you could just change character, so they could just put someone else in if your contract's up. Because obviously, if you're still going to the end of next year, but you're only there till the summer.
Yeah, so it was originally, when I got the job, the tour was just August till June next year. And then they extended it, but obviously the contracts they've sent out are just that time period. But they'll obviously we'll tell them in advance if we're going to leave, so it won't be like your contract ends tomorrow and it's like, oh yeah, I'm not coming back. Yeah, bye. So they'll have like time to, say if I left, they'd have time to audition for like a new Lonny or something like that. Yeah.
I suppose it depends if you get to June and it's like, if I have to hear White Snake once more time, I'm going to headbutt something.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever get sick of this show because, I mean, look, for me, it's a different show every single night, obviously, because of how much audience participation and things like that. It's a completely different show for me all the time. And I don't think I'll never get sick of the music because this is my music that I listen to. So it's not like I'm like, oh God, like I hate this song and I hate blah, blah. So yeah, I think it just kind of depends on where my head's at, I guess, like when they ask me if I want to extend.
Did you ever think though, when you were at musical theatre school or drama school, where, when you were growing up and stuff, that you'd ever be where you are today?
No, I mean, like, obviously I always tried to, I'd like to keep myself level-headed, and like I'm always saying to myself, there is somebody 10 times better than you, and there's somebody 10 times better than that person, and like that kind of thing. But I have always been like, it's my dream, and I will work so hard to get to where I want to be, but I didn't expect to be doing it like at 23 already. So I think I'm very, very fortunate and lucky to be in like a position that I am at my age. but then I do tap myself on the back as well and be like, but you have worked hard. Like you've worked really hard to get there as well.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think it's keeping that happy medium of being like, don't be a dick, but also don't like, push everything under the carpet. Like it's just like nothing,
Absolutely, man. We'll keep fucking slaying it because it sounds like you're smashing out the fucking park.
Thanks, man. Thanks very much.
Not at all.
So, Tom, have you got any more questions before we?
I literally just asked my last one. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So, Joe, we have a little game we like to play with our guests if you're willing to play.
Okay, let's do it.
It's called the quick fire round. We ask you 5 questions and you answer them as quick as you can. But they're all about you, so it's nothing too tedious.
Yeah.
So, all right. Question number 1, your go-to karaoke song.
I believe in a thing called Love the Darkness.
Oh,
right answer.
Strong.
Your favourite joke to tell.
I don't think I have jokes because I'm not good at delivering them. I'm like that's because they're scripted. I'm more. You guys are like, but you make jokes like the whole show, and I'm like, yeah, they were given to me. No, I don't really have jokes. I'm more of like you've seen the show. If I've like ad-libbed, it's like a dry humor kind of like witty response. But I'm really shit at like actual like knock knock, who's there? No. I mean, like there, me trying to think of something off the top of my head, being like, no, I can't continue with that. Sorry.
We'll let you go. That's fine. Your first ever celebrity crush?
Jennifer Aniston.
Top choice.
Yeah, she still is, I think.
Yeah.
And do you know who else I loved as well? Amanda Holden.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
I know. I think I just saw her on Britain's Got Talent when I was a kid, and I was like, yeah, she's fair.
It's fair. She's like a fine wine. She's got better with age.
I mean, dude, like her Instagram is like a 23-year-old's Instagram.
It really is.
It really is. Like she's taking photos on the edge of a boat, like eating grapes, drinking wine. And I think, Amanda, what's happening? Like, what's going on here? I mean, I'm not complaining. I will double tap that shit. But
Amanda, are you Greek?
Yeah. But she looks fantastic. She looks amazing. Yeah, but I don't know where that came from, that little crush. But Jennifer Aniston all the time. And she still looks absolutely banging for her age as well. She's gorgeous, man.
Who would play you in the movie of your life?
In the movie of my life?
So far.
Do you know what? I feel like a young Johnny Depp.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. You've smashed it out of the fucking park.
Yeah, I feel like Johnny Depp when he was in like Cry Baby.
Yes, I could definitely see that. Yeah,
just because we have like similar features and. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that by myself. I always get it said to me. People are always saying like that I remind them of Johnny Depp, and I'm like, just because I have long hair and a mustache does not mean that I look like Johnny Depp. And I think it's also because I like wear sunglasses and obviously like all the clothes and stuff as well.
And you're a handsome fuck. Yeah.
Right, John, you need to calm down. You guys make me blush so hard.
No, Joe. I can't. We've been sat here for an hour and I'm just like, I can't hide anymore. I'm so sorry.
I can't fight this feeling.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. And last but not least, if you could give a piece of advice to young version of yourself, Master Gash, you could say, what would it be?
Minuscule Gash. Gash Junior. Mini Gash. For all those listening, Gash means vagina. That's what.
Yeah, because we do have some Vietnamese listeners, so they'll probably be like. Genuine as well. I'm not making that up.
Oh, I thought you were just like nobody listens to this.
No, we've actually looked at our figures, and Vietnam is on there.
Oh shit! Well, Gash means vagina. That's why. Why they're laughing at his last name? It's not that funny.
It's probably a recipe over there, isn't it? Some sort of cuisine.
No.
Sorry, I'll stop now.
You can't just make me a bowl of soup.
Anyway, like meat and ramen or something.
Something about Gash.
A piece of advice you would give to younger version of yourself.
Younger Joe.
Younger Joe. Yeah, we'll say younger Joe.
Do you know what? I think when it comes to things like that, it wouldn't be a case of like do this differently. I think it'd just be like stick at it.
Yeah.
Because there has been so many points where, like, there was a point where I was, auditioning before I got Grease, where I was like, fuck, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Because I was going to auditions and getting cut, like not even getting recalls, and like going to London to being there for like 10 minutes to then go home. And there was a point where I like remember being on the phone to my mom and my agent and stuff and being like, I don't think I can do this anymore, So yeah, I think it'd just be like, just fucking keep at it and everything's going to work itself out. And I think that's just advice for anybody in general, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
everything's always going to work itself out. You just got to keep your head held high and you'll be absolutely golden.
100%. Persevere.
Absolutely beautiful. Joe, have you got any plugs, any socials, anything you want people to check
out? No, man. I think you've named them all. I only really use... I get a lot of people, especially from Rock of Ages, asking for my Twitter all the time, which I just don't use Twitter anymore. Deleted it years ago. I have my Instagram and then obviously my Rocket Rhapsody handle as well on Instagram. And come watch the show because it's fucking awesome.
And what is that Instagram handle? You didn't actually say what it was.
It's at JoeGashh. Joe Gash with 2 H's because some other fucker had taken the 1 H.
Bastard.
Bastard.
Yeah.
I'll find him.
Yeah, when we do.
He'll rue the day.
I'll tell him I can't believe you got there first. Joe, seriously, this has been an absolute pleasure. Loved every single second of it.
It's been really fun.
But,
thank you so much.
Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll hopefully speak to you soon.
Absolutely, dudes. Thanks for having me.
Take it easy, my friend.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Frank Guglielmelli, and I'm the narrator for some wonderful audio dramas from Syscast, like Marty and Mars, Bounty Hunters, and a great part in Val Toby, with much more to come. You can find these programs on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Or head over to our website, www.syscast.com. We are excited to announce that we are now affiliated with the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.